Managing file access in Windows. Now, controlling access to your organization's data folders is important. In Windows 10, we can implement file permissions to control who can access files and what type of access they have. And you can configure these permissions for each file individually, for folders, for a single user, or for a group of users. So constantly you should understand how permissions apply in these different scenarios to ensure that you do not grant access inadvertently to unauthorized users. So this is your data of organization which is stored in your machine. It is very important, and you have to manage the data permissions, that who can access the data and who cannot access the data, and that you can do by using the file access permissions. Now, before you can store data on a volume, you must first format the volume. That means if any storage device, any storage, any volume you have to format that value with the file system. That means you have to create the file system to use that storage. Otherwise, it is not usable. File system is just a small piece of software which gives you the way of storing and retrieving the data. So to do so, you must select the file system that the volume should use. Now, Windows 10 supports different file systems, including file allocation table, that is FAT, FAT32, and extended file allocation table, that is exFAT. Then NTFS file system and resilient file system. Now this resilient file system, that is ReFS, is the new for Windows. ReFS. Now it is basically for storing data, and it has lacking some features which is available in NTFS. Basically it is for data, but this is a new file system which Windows introduced, and it is available on servers, and we can use this to format our volume. So we have FAT, FAT32, exFAT, and we have NTFS, and also we have resilient file system, that is ReFS. Now FAT. Now when we talk about FAT file system, so it's supported by most operating system. Most operating system, that means it is supported in everywhere. Like you can use it on your LED TV, your Windows OS, your Linux OS. You connect anywhere. This FAT system is always it is supported in all operating systems. In mobile operating system also, in Android, in other operating system. Now used for small volumes with simple folder structure. Now this is the old one. This is the old one, and previously in old days everyone was using the FAT, but that time there was no big volumes available. Now though no big hard disk was available, so it was for these small volumes with the simple folder structure. Then often used for removable media. Now this one is still used. This file system is still in use for the removable media. Removable media, why? Because you can connect the removable media in any operating system. You can connect in Windows, you can connect in Linux, you can connect in any other operating system, and it will detect, because everyone supports it. So basically it is used for removable medias like your flash. Now Windows 10 supports FAT, FAT32, and exFAT. These are different type of FAT file system. Then does not support security other than NTFS features. Now because it's an old file system, there was no security supported here. That means the security feature is not available in FAT file system. It is only available in NTFS. So if you see the difference within the FAT file system, there is different file system, FAT file system, FAT, FAT32, and exFAT. So there is a small, there is a difference between these different FAT file systems. So first, maximum volume size. Now FAT support 4 GB, It was very old file system. Then FAT32, which is also, it is actually FAT 32 bit, so it supports FAT, it supports 32 GB of volume size maximum. And exFAT, it can support 232 minus 1 cluster. It is actually clusters. It is volume size, it supports in a clusters, and one cluster size can be 232. Then maximum size, so maximum file size, that means this is the volume size and one single file. The one single file maximum size supported is 4 GB in FAT. 4 GB again is FAT32, but in exFAT it supports 16 hexabyte. So if you have a one file which is more than 4 GB, then you cannot store it in this FAT or FAT32 file system. If you are having a flash, so flash use the FAT32 file system, and if you try to store more than 4 GB file into it, no matter how big your flash is, suppose your flash is 32 GB and it is empty, but still it cannot store this more than 4 GB data, 4 GB file. It will always say not enough space, not enough space. And exFAT is the latest one, so it will support 16 hexabyte. Then maximum file per volume, that means in one volume how many files we can store. So in FAT we can store 65,536 files, and FAT32 supports 41,077,920. And exFAT is actually nearly unlimited. Nearly unlimited, it is a very large amount of files we can store. As you can see, it can go up to 16 hexabyte files, 16 hexabyte file size, and cluster of 232. So it can support n numbers of file. It is almost unlimited. This is the difference between these different FAT file systems. Then we have NTFS. Now the NTFS file system, default file system for the Windows 10. Now this is the default file system of Windows 10. So whenever you install your Windows 10 or you create any partition, by default it will use this NTFS file system for it, and it supports many features which is not available with FAT. That is security and auditing. Then large volume support, it supports large volume size. Then it can also give you option to use quota. Quota means you can allocate a specific space for some users. That means if I want that some user use only 1 GB space from this hard disk, then it will only use 1 GB space. We can limit them. We can use quota also. We can use compression, we can use encryption, we can use, and it is also reliability, it is all reliable, and other advanced features. As you can see, I will show you this. This is our Windows, and when we install the Windows, we created one partition there, single partition, that is this C drive. And when you right click on it and go to the properties of this drive, you will see this, that this has file system NTFS. Now because it is NTFS, you can have different advanced features, that you can do compression on it, compress this device to save the disk space. That means you can compress the existing data to create some space for the new data. Then also you can do encrypt it. Now encryption option is not available here. It was available here, but now it is not available here in Windows 10. For encryption option, we have a different option. We have BitLocker now. So in previous versions of Windows, you will see the encryption option available here. You can tick that to do the encryption also, but right now it is not available. You audit, you can clean up the disk. You have different tools here. You have error checking, you have optimizing the disk option available for this NTFS. You have option to use quota. quota, that means you can allocate some user a limit of space. Then also you can use security feature. This feature is available only when you are having the file system NTFS. If you are using FAT, you will not see this. As you can see in this image, you have quota, you have security, and you have compression, other options. Then we have resilient file system. Now this resilient file system provides the highest level of resiliency and scalability, and can be used only on mirror storage spaces. Automatically detects and corrects the error. It do automatically detects and corrects the error, and two-way or three-way mirror. That means if you are using the mirror volume, then it will automatically detects and corrects the error. Two-way or three-way mirror supports this resilient file system. This supports security and auditing also. It supports security and auditing also. But it does not support compression, quota, encryption, and volume shrinking. So you cannot do shrink or even extend. You cannot use encryption on it. You cannot use quota on it. You cannot use compression on it. As you can see here in the image, there is no quota option, there is no compression option available, and encryption option will not be here. It is BitLocker which do the encryption, and volume shrinking also not possible, but you can do apply security. Now configuring and managing the file access. So you can control user access to files by configuring file and folder permissions if the file system supports file permissions. So if the file system supports that we can assign the permissions, then we can do that. And such as with NTFS or ReFS. So we can do assign the permission by on NTFS file system or ReFS file system, not on FAT. And you can configure permission at the volume root folder, so folder and files and file levels, and you can assign permissions explicitly, or you can use inheritance from the higher levels. It is important that you understand how to configure and manage file and folder permission to help control access to your user's file. We can assign for permission on files and folders, and we can assign directly, that is called explicitly, or we can use the inheritance permissions. That means inheritance means you will assign the permission on the top level folder, and that permission will inherit to all the folders and files inside that top level folder, or we can say root folder. So basically Windows use inheritance permissions. Now to use for managing file and folder, we can do it by using the File Explorer. File Explorer, that means the window which you open for the files, that is what the File Explorer. So you can manage the files and folders from here, or you can use command prompt also. Command prompt, that means you can use command to manage your files. These are the commands from the command prompt to use and manage the files, like cd or change dir to change the directory, change the parent directory, md or mkdir dir to create a directory, del or erase to delete one or more files, move to move one or multiple files, dir to display a list of files and subdirectories in a directory, and this lcacl is to display or modify the permission by using access control list, which is the NTFS permissions. So we can manage our file by using the File Explorer, and this is the File Explorer. Like suppose when you see in the taskbar, you can see this is your File Explorer. So when you click on it, it will open like this, and from here you can see the files, you can see the volumes and directories here. You can click on this PC to see the PCs here. You can see these folders, these are the profile folder for this user. Then you see the drives here, you can open the drive, you can see these directories here in that drive. Then you can manage, you can right click, you can cut, you can view, you can right click on it, you can do different things. And also now you have here option to open here, and you can do manage all these files and directories from here. You can, this is home where you can see pin access, you have cut, copy, paste option, you have move option, copy option, delete option, you have option to create new folder. When you select something, then you will see these options are available. You can rename, you can go for new item, new access, you can see the properties, open, history, select all, select null, invert. Then you can go for share here, you can share these directories or folder files. Then you can go for view, you have different options to view. As you can see, you can enable the preview pane, which shows you the preview available, detail pane, and here you have to have option to group by, add column, size all column, fade. You have different item options available here to show and hide. Items checkbox, file name extension, hidden items. You have some hidden items also available. Then you have other folder options here. You click, it opens the other folder options. So we can manage our files through this file explorer, or we can use CMD also, command prompt. We can use command prompt. CD command to change the directory. Like I want to go to one directory back, so I will use CD. I go one directory back, and if you want to go another directory, then you can use CD and the absolute path. Like I want to go into users, then name of the user, and you can use tab key to get the available options. When you press tab, it will show you the available options. And when you press tab, it will auto complete also. So I type des and press tab, it completes. So I want to go to this user's desktop, and I'm on this user's desktop. Then if I want to create a directory, I can give mkdir command. I want to create a directory. Now directory is created on the desktop. We can verify, and this is the directory. And CLS command to clear, and we can check what is on a particular directory. We can use dir command. Dir command will list the directory. Like I want to list the directory under C users, this desktop directory, and I can see there is this directory available there and this directory, and this one I created right now. If I want to delete something, I can delete by using del command. It says, are you sure you want to delete? I say yes, and now it is deleted. Now when you check with dir command, it says that there is no file. It is not deleted actually. Let me try again. Okay, I have to give yes, and let's say Okay, actually it is trying to delete the files inside the directory. It is using star under the directory. That means it is trying to delete the files inside the directory. So if there is any file inside this directory, these are deleted. So these are CMD commands you can use, and if you use directly cd cls, let me use, if you use cd hyphen slash backslash, then it will go directly to the root drive. Now there is lots of commands to use in CMD, but Windows is a graphical operating system, so mostly we use it in graphical. We use the file explorer. We use mostly file explorer to do these things easily. Then we can use PowerShell also. Windows PowerShell provides multiple commandlets that you can use to manage files and folders, such as get child item is same as dir, and which displays a directory's list of files and subdirectories, or set location, which changes the parent directory. This one is same as cd command. So when you use cd command to change the directory, you can use in PowerShell set location. To manage the file permission, you can use the get ACL and set ACL command. To see the current ACL on the folder, run the following command. You can run get ACL and the folder name to get the information about the ACL, that is format list. Format list, it is actually I am taking this permission with the list option. Let me show you this first. And also to set the ACL on the folder to the same as the permission of folder 1, then including inheritance settings, you could run the following command, that is get the permission of folder 1 and set the permission on folder 2. So I am opening the PowerShell. So this is your PowerShell. Whenever you see this PS here, that means it is your PowerShell. It looks like your CMD command, but this PS means it is your PowerShell. Now to check the current items in the current directory, you can use get child item. This is same as dir. It will show all the files within the current directory, that is system32. All the files and directories in this system directory. Now in system32 there is lots of files, so I stopped it. You can change the directory by using set location. And you can use where we want to go. I want to go to C drive, and you can see I'm on C drive. Clear. Now what we have here, get location, get child item. So we have these directories here, data1, data2. If I want to see the permissions of data1, so I will use get ACL of data1. Now when I press enter, it shows here that this is your data path, this is your directory path, this is the owner of the directory, this user, and access is this anti-authority. Authenticated users are allowed to modify and synchronize. Now it is not showing in detail, so I will use one more option with this. I will use pipe and I will say that format list. That means show me in list format. The permissions, whatever the output it is showing, show me in the list format. So now it is showing in the list format. and now it is showing it is in detail. Like path, it is showing that there is a, this is the path of your data directory, this is the owner, group is not available, and these are the permissions. So authenticated users allowed to modify and synchronize, unauthenticated users are allowed. Then on this they allow full control, system is allowed to full control, system user is allowed to have full control, administrators are allowed to have full control, and users is allowed to read and execute and synchronize only. Auditing has not done. This is the unique ID of this directory. These are the different unique IDs of this directory. So it shows in the list format. Now if you want to set the same permission of data 1 into data 2, then what we do, we use get ACL. Now this will get the ACL of the data 1. Then I will use pipe and I will say set set ACL on data 2. So this will do what? It will use the same permission of data 1 and set it to data 2. So this is what you can use PowerShell also to manage your files. Now file and folder permissions. That is for managing. Now for permissions. Permissions are what? Permissions are rules that determines which operations specific user can perform on a file or a folder. Owners of a file or folder can assign permissions even if they do not have any current permissions. Anyone with full control permission can also assign permissions. Now, if you are administrator, then you are having a special rights. That means administrator can use any folder and directory, and it can change any folder's permission and files permission. Now, if you are the normal user and you are creating some files or folder, then you are the owner of the files or the folder. So you can also create, assign permissions. You can also assign permissions, and you can also change permissions. You can deny someone, and also when anyone has full control or on the file or directory, then also it can do what? It can assign the permissions to any other users. Now we have types of permission here. You can configure two types of permissions for files and folder on NTFS and ReFS volumes. First one is the basic permissions. Basic permissions are the most commonly used permissions. Then we have advanced permission. This advanced permission provide a finer degree of control. It gives you more control. Then we have permission inheritance. Permission inheritance, that means there are two ways that you can assign permission to files and folders, and you can use what? Explicit permission, and you can use inheritance permission. Now explicit permission means when you set permission directly on a file or a folder, the permission apply explicitly. Now inheritance permission, that means files and folders typically appears in a nested structure. Nested structure, that means one directory inside another directory and another directory is inside another directory. So where the folder contains what? Subfolders and files, and those subfolders contains files and folders. So permission inheritance allows for child objects to inherit the parent's object's permission settings. So if you are having some permission on this folder, so it is going to be applied on the files inside the same folder or a directory inside the same folder. You can do what? You can disable the inheritance. You can disable the inheritance, then it will become what? Explicit permission. That means you don't want to use the inheritance permission, you just want to assign the explicit permission. So you can disable the inheritance and it will become what? Explicit permission. Now when you copy or moving the file, then also your permissions will change. So when you copy or move a file or folder, the permission can change depending on where you move the file or folder. So when you copy files and folders, they always inherit the permission of the destination folder. That means when you copy the folder, suppose if you copy one folder from folder of file from this volume to this volume, so it will do what? It will use the destination folder permission. That means it will inherit the permission of the destination. It will not use the permission same as the source. Source, that means where you are copying the file. So it will not use the same permission from there. It will use the permission of the destination folder. It will inherit the permission from the destination folder where you are copying the file. Now when you moving the files or folder within the same volume, they keep their explicit permissions. Now remember, if you are moving the file within the same volume, like if it is in D drive and I am copying the file from D drive to D drive, then it will use the same explicit permission. The explicit permissions will not change. But when you move the files and folders to a different volume, they inherit the permission of the destination folder. So if I move the file or directory from one volume, one partition to other partition, like D drive to E drive, then it will use the permission of E drive. It will not use the permission of D drive. Okay, so I will show you this. First, I will go to this C drive. Now to give a permission, I will show you how you can use the basic or advanced permission. Now I don't have any other drive to do that, copy or move. But first I will show you how you can assign the permission, basic or advanced. Now for that you need some users. So for creating new users, we can go to this setting app accounts and we can create from here different users. But for advanced user, this is for the simple user who don't know much things. This is the graphical tool to create users and all that. For advanced users like administrators don't use that setting app. Administrators use the different thing. They go to computer management, right click on start button, go to computer management, and there is an option for local users and groups. Now from here we can create local users, and this is the advanced option. Now here we have users option and we have group option, and here you can see all the system groups available here. These are all system groups and these are all users available, including the system users. This is the user which I created when I was installing the system, and after installation I created these users. But these users are also there, which is system users. Now here we can see this user account, that is administrator. Now administrator, that means this is the main administrator account, and this administrator account is disabled. This default account option is also disabled. You can see the description here which says that built-in account for administrating the computer or domain. This account is the user account managed by the system, and this is one more account, which is guest account. This is the built-in account for the guest access to the computer. That means this account is available for the guest. Suppose some user comes for your organization and they want to use some of your machine, and you don't want to create their separate account. So you can do what? You can enable this guest account to give them to use the computer for some period of time. Then you will disable the guest account. You have this WDAG utility account also. This is the system account which is managed and used by the system for Windows Defender application guard scenario. This is also used by the system, and it is a system account to manage the Windows Defender firewall. So these are the system accounts we have, and these are will not show up in setting app. If you go to setting app, you will not see these things, and you will not able to do this. You will not able to enable these accounts from there. You can only see the account which is currently logged in here, and when you go to others, you can see only these accounts. You see these accounts which we created. You will never see the system accounts here, not even a setting, not even a control panel also. If you go to control panel, user accounts, you can see the option for user account, where you can change the account type and remove the user accounts. But when you go to user accounts, you can see the current user account only. This is the current user account which is logged in. You can change these things for the current user account. You can change your account name, you can change the type of your account. Now type of your account, that means currently it is administrator. You can change it to normal user. You can change it to normal user to administrator. If you click on this, you see these options: standard user to administrator, administrator to standard user. Manage the another account, change the user account control setting. This we will see. Another account, that means you have these accounts available, and again you will not able to see administrator account here. You can see these accounts are local accounts, and these are administrator account. These are normal accounts. So if I click on this account, so I can do what? I can change name, I can change password, I can change the type. That means I can make it standard to administrator, administrator to standard, delete the account and manage another account. And if you want to add new account, then you will go to setting app. If you want to add new account, then you have to go to setting app. You cannot do it from control panel. That is not available. But still the administrator, main administrator account is not available. You see here it is showing this is administrator, but this is as administrator, it is not a main administrator account. You can see only the main administrator account in this control panel, in this user, local users and group option available in computer management. Now because it is disabled, it is not showing up here, not even a control panel and not even a setting app. Now when you enable that administrator account, it will appear here and you can manage that also. So these accounts are normal accounts, but this is as administrator and these are the system groups. And in the groups you can see the different groups are available for doing the different purpose. Actually in Windows system, whatever the permission user gets, it gets from these groups. It gets from this group. That means if you create new user, normal user, the normal user is member of this group, user group. That means it is having a limited options, limited permissions. This is users prevented from making accidental and intentional system-wide changes and can run most applications. So it can run most of the applications, but it is not having more permissions. And when you create a user at the installation time, and that user become the administrator because of this group. And suppose here is the permission, here's the option that you can change the account type. Like if I select this and if I want to change the account type and I want to make it administrator. Now it is standard, that means right now it is the member of, this user is member of normal users group. Now if I want to make it administrator, that means I will make this user member of administrator group. So making the user, changing the user to administrator, that means making the user member of administrator group. Administrator group. So if I double click on it, so I can see the default administrator is the member and this user is the member of this group. That means this user is also administrator. And if you check this group, you see the other users are there. which is the member of this normal user group. So these are normal users because they are member of this group. So very simple, if you make some user administrator, let's say I want to make this user as an administrator. So I will change type and I will say make it administrator. Now that simply means what? I am changing this user's group membership. If I see the group here now, right now it is still member of the user group, but now when I go to administrators group, now I can see this user also available here, and it can also do the task which this user can do and even administrator can do. And if you check the user account, so you can see these default permissions are the general options. Here you can give a full name description, you can disable the account, you can change the user, you can put this user cannot change the password, and you can put password never expire. That means this user's password will never expire. And when you check the member of, then you can see it is the member of administrator group now. Previously it was only member of users group. So when you are assigning the permissions to any users, then you have to know that these users are having which permission. Are they member of the administrator group or the normal user group? If the users are member of administrator group, then they can do lots of things. They are having the special permissions. Now if I make this user normal user again, so I'll go to change type and make it standard. Then it will not be the member of administrator group. Now you see it is only the normal users and normal user group, and it is now not a member of administrator group. So this user is it is also a normal user, it is also a member of normal users group. So I created this user, I want to have more users, so I can right click on this empty place, I click new user, and then I will mention the name of the user, full name, last name, whatever description, then mention the password, and the other option for the password, like user must change the password at next logon. When the user logs in, then it will allow the user to change the password, or you can make that user cannot change password. You can put user password will never expire, or you can just disable the user. That means you create the user will be there, but it will not be active. So create. So one user is created. I will create one more user with ABC password, and I will not use these options, and close. So these three users I have created, user 1, 2, 3. Now I am going to assign permissions to these three users. So I will go here under the C drive, and I will create one directory here. Test. Now under the directory I will create some files. File 1, and file 2. Okay, now if I want to see the current permissions of this directory, I will right click and I will go to properties. Now under the properties we have these different tabs which shows the general detail of the folder. Then we have the security tab here. Now under the security tab we can see the default ACL permissions which this NTFS permission which this folder contains. You can see these authenticated users are having these permissions. Then we have system users which is containing these permissions, which is actually have full control. Then administrators, that is the administrators user, the members of this group, remember these are group, you can see these two faces here, that means these are groups. When you have user, normal a single user, you will see only one face, so these are groups. So administrators group is having also full control. So if any user is member of this administrator group, it will get the all permissions. Then users group will get these two permissions, three permissions. So member of the users group will get these three permissions. Now we just created this folder, we have not given any permission to this folder. So where these permissions are coming, where these permissions are coming from? So basically these permissions are coming from the root folder. Root folder, because it is inheriting the permissions. Now you will see the same permission under the on the files inside the directory also. If I go to this file and if I check the permissions of this file, go to security tab, you will see the same groups are available here also, and you will see the same permissions are they having, because they are getting these permissions from inheritance. These are inheritance permissions. So these files are getting the permissions from this folder, and this folder is getting the permission from the C drive. It is getting the permission from here. So if I check the permissions, security permissions of this C drive, I right click and go to the security tab, I can see the same groups are there, and you can see the permissions are also same. So these are inheritance permissions. These are not permissions on the top root folder. This is explicit permission, and this is what inheritance permission from there. If I have any folder inside this folder, it will also have the inheritance permission. Now if I check this permission, this folder's permissions, you can see the same thing here, because it is inheriting the permissions from the test folder, and test folder is inheriting the permissions from C drive, and the C drive having the explicit permission. It is not inheriting anything from any permission from anywhere. Now to modify the permissions, I will right click on the folder and go to the properties and go to the security tab. Now you can see we cannot do anything here. So if you want to do anything, then you can go for edit. This is your basic permissions. So if you want to modify the basic permission, then you will click on edit. So when you click on edit, it will open another window where you can change the permissions. You can change these permissions of these users. Now if you see here, I cannot remove these ticks. Why? Because these are coming from inheritance. So these are not removable. We are not able to remove this from here, from the basic permissions. It is not removable, because these are inherited permissions. Now these are inherited permissions, and we can see that users group is having read, write and execute permission here. It is having read, execute, list and read permissions. So this users group is having all these permissions. Now if any user is member of this group, they will get all these three permissions by default. That means it will get the permission from this group, and all the normal users which we created right now, they are member of this group, and they will get always these three permissions. Now if I want to deny someone, or if I want to allow someone a more permission, then I have to add that user here and give the user extra permission or remove some extra permission from it. So that will be the explicit permission for that user on this current directory. Let's say I will add user 1 here. So I click on add. Now if you remember the name, then you can type the name of the user and check the name, is it right or not. And when it is checked, it says it is right, that means it is right, and then you can add it. Now I added this user 1 here. I will add user 2 also. So add. Now if you don't remember the name, then you will go for advanced option, and then you can go for find now. So we click on find now. It will show you all the users and groups available here, and then you can see, you can search which user you want. I want user 2 and also I want user 3, and OK. So if you know the name, then you can type the name directly, or if you don't remember the name, then you can search for it. Now we added these 3 users here. Now when I click on user 1, I can see now this user is also having these permission: read, list and read. This is the same as this user groups. Because this user is also member of this group, it is having this permission. Now if I remove, I can remove now here. Now this is what explicit permission, so I can remove these permissions. It is not inheriting. It is not inheriting from the top level folder. So I have added this user right now here, so I can remove these permissions from here, and this will become the explicit permissions. Now these are the explicit permission. This will become explicit permission when you assign those permissions here. Now when we try to configure the permissions, we have these permissions. These are basic permissions we have. So first you should understand what these permissions are. So we have full control. Full control, that means that the user will get the whole control. It can do anything, simple. It can do anything, that means it can even assign permission to other users also. Then you have modify. Now modify means it can also do everything, but it cannot modify the permissions. Only it will not able to edit the permissions. That means it cannot allow or deny someone. Then read and execute. Now remember, what is the file or folder? Is it a file or folder you are allowing or you are assigning the permission? Depending on that, you can see that read and execute. Now read means it is for the file. So if you are having a file, you are using the permission on file, that means you are reading the file. You can read the file. And execute is for the directory. That means if you are using this permission on the directory, that means you can execute the directory. That means you can open the directory by double clicking it. So when you double click on the directory and the directory opens, that means you are executing the directory. So if you are having this permission, you can open a directory, you can read a file. And this is by default available, you can see. Because of that, any user can open any directory. Then list the folder content. This is also available by default. By this, user can do what? It can list the content of the directory. That means it can see what is the content available in that particular directory. Then this list folder content is specifically for the directory. It is not for the file. If you see the permission of file, you will not see this permission. Then read. This is simple for the file. You can read the file. And these 3 basic permissions are always there. Now write permission is not available. Write permission, then that means you can write the file, you can edit the file, and even you can write the directory. Write the directory means you can add some files in the directory, and you can remove files from the directory. There is some special permissions which is some advanced permission. If you go to the advanced permission and you assign some advanced permissions. So these are the basic permissions we are having here. Now when you go to advanced permission, you will see these basic permissions in detail. That means when I give read and execute, that means exactly what permissions you will get. List permission, that means exactly what permissions you will get. Modify, that means exactly what permissions you will get. In detail, you will see in advanced. Now here it is shows in the basic format. And this is the most commonly used basic format. This is the basic permissions. This is the most common way of giving the permission to someone. Now there is one more thing, there is allow or deny. There is two options available, allow or deny. Now it is not like if I say read allow, then it is allowed, and if I remove the tick, that means it is not allowed. If you click it, that means it is allow the read permission. If you remove it, it is denied. Like if I add the modify, that means it can modify, and if I remove, it cannot modify. But why the deny permission is still there? Now deny permission is because it is the permission which will apply first. Remember, always the deny permission will apply first. So if some user is getting two permissions from somewhere, so it will get the deny permission first. The deny permission will apply first. That means if suppose say there is a user 1 and it is getting the allow permission and deny permission both, like it is getting allow permission to modify and also deny permission to modify, then allow will not apply, deny will apply. Now you will say how it will get allow and deny both permission at the same time. It will get the both permission from the group. Now in Windows, what we have a permissions structure as a group. Like if you want to assign some permission to user, you can assign the permission to group, and user can be a member of group. So suppose there is one group A, and there is one more group B. So what we can have, like this user 1, it can be a member of this group A, and also it can be a member of this group. Now the single user can be a member of two different groups. Now what happened if there is one file or folder available here, and I am giving this A group a permission. We can give group also permission, and I am giving the permission to modify. I am giving allow modify permission to group A, and group B I am giving deny modify permission. Now I don't know that this user is member of both the groups. This user is member of both the groups. Now what this user will get? It will get modify allow and modify deny. Modify allow it will get from group A, and modify deny it will get from group B. So within this allow and deny, this allow will not apply. So user will not get allow permission, it will get deny permission. So deny will always work first. So if you want to deny someone something, then instead of removing that tick, you have to deny it explicitly. So if I want to deny someone modify permission, then I just don't have to remove this, I just have to deny it from here. So this is allow and deny. So first deny permission will apply. And if suppose some user is not having a deny permission, it is only having allow permissions. Like for example, in the same scenario, group A is having allow full control and does not have deny. It has allow modify. Now if the group A is having allow full control and group B is having allow modify, now both the permissions are allow permissions. There is no deny permission. If the some permissions is deny, then the deny will apply, but the deny is not there, only allow permissions are available. So this user 1 is getting allow full control and allow modify with from A and B group. So which permission will apply? The higher permission will apply. The modify is less than full control. Full control is higher than modify. So the modify permission will not apply. The full control will apply. That means when some user is getting multiple permissions, only allow permission, then the higher allow permission will apply. And if the user is getting on allow and deny permission, then only deny permission will apply. So if you know how these permissions works, then you can assign the permissions. Like for user 1, I select the user 1, then I can do allow what I want to allow or I want to deny. For example, user 1, I want to give modify permission. That means it can do till modify. Then I will select user 2. Then I want to give user 2 deny read permissions. Now remember, if it is deny, that means it cannot do anything. Now it cannot read, then it cannot do anything. That means it is basically deny full control. Then user 3, you can do like I can give full control. So these three users, user 1 I give modify permission, user 2 I denied everything, and user 3 I allow full control. So this is what, and this is how we can assign the basic permissions. Now see what happens here. When I press OK, it's showing me the message here. It is showing me the information warning. It is saying here that you are setting deny permissions entry, and deny entries take precedence over allow entries. This means that if a user is member of two groups, one that is allowed a permission and another that is denied the same permission, the user is denied the permission. Do you want to continue? So it is giving me the warning because I have given some user the deny permission. I say yes. So I have given user 2 deny permissions, but still user 2 is having the allow permission from this users group. Remember, this users group is the member of other groups, like this user 1, 2, 3 is member of this group. So this group is having the allow permission by default, but instead of that I given this user deny. So deny will apply. Now if I log in with the other user, like this is, I will log in now with the user 1, 2 or 3 and see what happens. So I will log out from this user and I will log in with user 1, and we can see what is the permission applying. So here we can see all the users available. So I will go for user 1 first. Password is ABC. Now because it is logging in first time, so it will take a little time. It will take a little time. And because it is first time, so I will say okay, I will accept everything. And now it is here. Okay, this is user 1. So user 1 comes and it will go to C drive. And under the C drive we created one folder. Now it will try to open the folder. It can open the folder. It will try to create new file under the folder. User 1, and it can create. Why? Because it is having the permissions. What permission user 1 is having? It can check the permission also. If I go to security permissions, user 1 is having modify permission. Modify permission, that means it can do everything. It can do read, write, and it can remove also. It can delete files and directories also. So if it try to delete the directories, delete the file, it can also delete the files. So user 1 is having modify permission and it can do these all. It can do read, write and even delete also. Modify means it can delete also. Now it will try to edit the permission. This it cannot do. You can see for editing the permission, it is asking the permission of administrator. And if you know only the password of administrator, then only you can do that. Otherwise you cannot do that, because user 1 is having only modify permission, and modify permission can do everything instead of setting the permissions or changing the permission. Now user 2, we have denied the full control. So if I logged in as a user 2 now, so user 2 cannot do anything. Basically it cannot read also. It cannot open the folder, it cannot see anything. It is denied by full control. Now user 2 logs in, and when he go to the C drive and when it try to check the folder, it says you don't have current permissions. It says you don't currently have permission to access this folder, but click continue to permanently get the access of this folder. So if you click continue, it will ask the password for administrator. And if you are administrator, then you can do that, but now it is not possible. This user is not having any permission. If it try to check the properties of the permission, it can see these properties, but it cannot see the permissions. It cannot read the permission, it cannot modify the permission, it cannot do anything. No permissions, full control, deny. Then user 3, we gave the full control. So it can do everything, and also it can do what? It can write the permission, it can change the permissions also. So if I logged in as a user 3, then it can do what? It can edit the directory, it can create new files inside the directory, and it can also delete files and folders from the directory, and also it can change the permissions. So user 3 is logged in and he will check that folder. Now remember, it is having full control. When you check the property, so it is having a full control, this user 3. Now it is having a full control, that means it can edit the permission also. It can click edit, and you can see it is having the permissions option. It can see the permission and it can remove some permission if you like. So it can do edit anything, it can create files, it can delete files, and it can also modify the permissions because it is having the full control. And this is the basic permissions we have. And if you want to assign advanced permissions, then I will show you the advanced permissions. The same way, permissions are same, it is just in detail. That means the same permissions are there, but there is a detailed permissions. So if you want to use the advanced permissions, then on the security tab you have to go to advanced. This is for the basic permission and this is for the advanced permission. So click on this, it will open this advanced permissions tab. Now it says here that this is the directory name, the owner of the directory is this user who's created the directory, and these are the permissions we have. We have user 1 allow, we have user 3 allow, we have user 2 deny. These other permissions are coming from inheritance. They are coming from C drive. You can see it is inherited permissions, but these permissions are not inherited. These are explicit permissions. User 2 is having denied full control, user 1 is having read, write and execute permission, and user 3 is having full control, and these groups are having the inherited permissions from C drive. Now what we can do, we can add some user from here, we can remove some user from here, we can view the permissions of those users from here. For example, suppose I will remove this user 1 from here. Now I'm going to add the user again to use the advanced permission. So I will add. Now select the principal first who you want to assign the permission. So I want to assign the permission on user 1, check name, and then these are the basic permissions again. You can see it's a basic permission which we saw previously. But if you want to see the advanced permission, then you have to click here, show advanced permissions. Now remember, it is saying read, write and read, execute, list folder content and read permission. Now if I click on advanced, then it will show you detail, that this means traverse folder, that is you can go into the folder, list folder, you can read the attributes, you can read the extended attributes, and also you can have read permissions. Now when I give modify, let's say when I give only write permission first, that means what? You can do these read things, but now you can create files, write data, you can create folder, append folder, you can write attribute, you can write extended attributes, but still you cannot delete anything and you cannot change permissions and all that. Now when you give advanced permission, modify permission, now that means what? That means with all read and write permissions, you can do delete files, but still you cannot delete subfolders and files, and you cannot even change permission and take ownership. But when I give full control, now that means everything. That means every permissions you can have, you can change permission, you can take ownership also. So when you are in basic permissions, you have these options, and when you want to assign permissions in detail, then you can go for advanced and you can assign exactly what you want. And here is the option to allow or deny. You want to allow the permission, you want to deny the permission, and you want to allow the folder permission or permission only on this folder or subfolder and files, or you only want to assign the permission to the current folder, not files and folders. That means you don't want to inherit the permissions. So this is how you can do what? Give the advanced permissions. And these permissions are inheriting from the parent folder. So if you don't want to inherit the permission, for example, I assign the permission on this test folder. So under that test folder, there is one more folder, data. Now all the permissions are inherited from there. So if you check the advanced permission, you will see that these permissions are also inheriting from this folder. Now if you don't want to use the inherited permission, you want to use the separate permission for this, then you can disable the inheritance. So when you disable the inheritance, two options: convert the inherited permission into explicit permission, or remove all inherited permissions. Now if you select remove all inherited permission, then it will remove all the permission which is inheriting. Now you see all the permission was inherited, so it is removed everything. I will not apply. Now if you say disable but convert it into explicit, so it will not remove any permission, it will just change it to inherited to explicit. So this permission will remain as it is, it will just change it to explicit. Now you see it is not inherited. So this is how you can disable or again enable the inheritance also. So this is how you can assign the basic and advanced permission, and you can enable and disable the inheritance.